Hey, we should be live. We're back. We're working on Osborn / Green Goblin, primarily Green Goblin. And we still have 55 cuts to make, and every card in the deck is worth considering for the final build of the deck. So, I don't know. Fix that over there on my OBS. Okay, that looks better. So what are we gonna do? Well, one of the things that crossed my mind when I woke up this morning, literally when I woke up this morning and was thinking about it, is we have a whole bunch of cards on the list that will let me discard a card to draw some cards and do something else. I think the only ones we have left are actually the treasure makers, but we don't need the card draw to be the discard outlet also. We have cards for that. And the whole idea of keeping them on the list has been, well, we need to be able to discard cards and we need to draw cards, and these are technically free because they will make treasures and sometimes will even go up mana. But we have a ton of card draw already on the list in the cantripping artifacts and the things that boost them, and we have dedicated discard outlets. So these are not things that we actually need. So, and I think I've been stuck in the pattern of, well, they let me draw cards and discard cards, and they're basically free. So if we're trying to storm and we get to cast spells from the graveyard for cheaper, if we've discarded them, then I need these things in order for this to function, and I don't think that we actually do. I think that they are functionally a crutch that we don't need. So, Mind Over Matter, Attunement, Gamble. Where are they? Frantic Search. Frantic Search can stay because it's actually free always, and up mana all the time. For right now, maybe it also needs to go, but Seize the Spoils can go. Like, Frantic Search is free to the point where we don't even need to have discarded it. We just get to do it, but I think Seize the Spoils, big score, and if there's another one still on the list that's one of these, can go. Does this mean Faithless Looting can go also? Doesn't mean Frantic Search can go. Like, Frantic Search is always free. It's always going to be good in the deck, but it's not needed. Biggest thing about Frantic Search is it actually goes up mana with Norman, so it helps. Like, we can only go up mana with big score if we can get another cost reduction effect into play. It's always going to cost us 2 mana otherwise and give us back 2 mana. And Seize the Spoils is always going to be mana neutral because we can't shave the red off of the casting cost. So with that in mind, yeah, I think they can all go. I think I would rather have really strong discard outlets to make all of these work properly than one-shot discard outlets that also let me draw some cards and are kind of mana neutral. Frantic Search is the hardest one to cut out of all of them, I think. Does this mean I need to get rid of Breakthrough also? I'm way more interested in the ones that are repeatable. 1 second, hair in my mouth. I get it? I think I got it. Okay. Like, Gamble is a tutor, so if I'm trying to combo off and I'm missing the actual win con, I can gamble for it, and it doesn't matter because we'll be able to cast it from the graveyard. But... oh, man. Am I really going to lose, like, all of these things? Because I just need the discard outlets to be free and cheap. Like, cheap to cast and free to use. And I don't need them to cost mana and let me draw cards in order to discard the cards. I just need them to be good, solid discard outlets and let the card draw come from the other things. Because I'm thinking that's where I'm at, honestly, is that I need to let the card draw come from the other things. I have so many cantripping artifacts on the list. I love Ancestral Recall, though, and so many of these cards are functionally Ancestral Recall with upside. Like, Breakthrough can literally just be draw 4 and make my spells cheaper. For a single blue mana. And I love that, and I'm so sad that we're going to get rid of it. Because I think we're going to get rid of it. Draw 4 is so strong, though. Like, we're getting rid of draw 2s. Yeah, I think all 3 of these can go. I'm probably going to have to cut the other ones too, but I don't want to yet. Alright, we're starting off strong by getting rid of a subsection of cards, so let's just get rid of those 3. Alright, Faithless Looting is gone. Big Score is gone. And Seize the Spoils is gone. Alright, so we get rid of those 3. Brings us down to 112. Alright, what spells benefit from Patrician Geist and Helm of Awakening now? If I have to cast them. Mana Tutor doesn't. Mana Vault, Soul Ring. Mana Drain, no. Felwar Stone, no. Force of Will if I actually had to cast it because I have no blue cards in hand, technically. But that's an extreme that I don't think is going to come up super often. Mind Over Matter, no. Attunement, no. Scourge Familiar, yes. One big one. Phyrexian Altar, technically, yes. Breakthrough only if I wanted to keep more cards in hand, which I probably don't. Not casting Anger at all. That's not what he's in the deck for. One of those. Crocland Ironworks. Empty the Warrens. No, no. Technically Mystic Retrieval if I don't want to just flash it back from the graveyard immediately if I need to cast it and then flash it back. So we're up to 5. Cyclonic Rift is 6. Vandal Blast can be 7. If I need to overload it. Paradoxical Outcome is 8. Archfiend is 9. Hornfell would be 10. Technically, no, Hornfell would be 10. Burgie's only 3. Fervent Mastery's 11. Fire's 12. Fourteen. Change of 14. Change of Fortune is 13. Pile is 14. Only if I had to cast the Quantum Riddler, and I don't think I even counted at that point. I guess technically it helps. The Helm of Awakening helps the warp cost because I can never discount that with Norman. But I'm willing to sit at 14 for right now. No, Frog. Displacer Kitten is 15. Bone Miser is 16. Feature 17. Barracuda 18. And Time Loop is 19. And that might be able to go also. It is helpful in that I can, if I have a land in my hand, I can keep discarding all of the other cards in my hand for 2 mana and getting new cards to look at while discounting all of them, but it might not be good enough. Yeah, I'm starting to think that Helm of Awakening and Patrician Geist can go, because there's not enough stuff that they're discarding, or discounting, rather. If anything, I would keep the Helm, I think. Over the Geist, because the Helm can always be free if Norman's out, but that was the only Helm, right? Okay. Neither of them are down there. Okay, that brings us down to 110. So 50 cards left. I'm starting to think Nahiri's Wrath can go. Like, Firestorm is just better on the turn that I'm going off. Nahiri's Wrath, I can use it to kill, like, something problematic on a setup turn. Whereas I can't really do that with Firestorm, but Firestorm is way better at discarding my whole hand and giving me a ton of damage to throw around potentially. Could be breakthrough, it could be attunement. I do think Decaying Time Loop needs to go, if I'm being honest. I think it's the weakest one still on the list, so... I think we get rid of it. Which is a shame, but... a lot of these cards are going to be... like, everything on the list has its spot, so... everything that I cut is going to be something that could very easily still be in somebody's deck, and it would not be... that's true, I can get rid of all of these now, because we 100%ed the game, so those are unnecessary. Might as well do a little bookkeeping while I'm deleting things. Makes me feel accomplished. I'm wondering if, like the other discard outlets I got rid of, if I just get rid of Firestorm and Nahiri's Wrath, because they're not great when I'm not going off, and they're not the best at letting me go off. I'd rather just have a repeatable 0 mana, discard a card, generate less than impressive effect. Like, I might get to the point where I need to put Aquamoeba or Olivia's Dragoons back on the list because of this, but at least I'm getting rid of like 10 other cards to make, and I just need to put like 1 or 2 of them back on. So here, let's go down to the discard outlet sub theme at this point. See what else I can get rid of that's on here, because it's a discard outlet and something, and I just need a solid discard outlet at this point. So Firestorm can potentially go. Attunement can potentially go. Frantic Search. Breakthrough. Riddlesmith, no, because it's constantly triggering with what I'm doing. So it fits more with the things that help keep the cards flowing once they start flowing. So Shreds of Sanity and Mystic Retrieval are on here to get back a Storm card that didn't quite finish the game, so that I can cast it again and get all of the triggers again. That's also partially why Liar is on the list. So... but I do have a bunch of other spells that Liar could let me flash back that would be super helpful in the middle of trying to go off. And since the opponents can't counter my stuff, as long as they didn't have a way to break up my combo, or as long as I'm not letting them cast spells on my turn with, like, the Barracuda or something, we should be good. Alright, so I don't think Shadow the Goblin, like, it still might belong in the deck, but it's not a discard outlet. Like, it only lets me discard 1 card if it was in play at the start of my first main phase. So, that's not working. That is not, in fact, letting me win the game. But by having a good discard outlet. It might let me win the game by dealing enough damage from casting spells from anywhere other than my hand, but it is not going to win me the game by being the discard outlet I need. So it shouldn't even be considered as one of those, even though it technically has the words on it. Alright, yeah, if we want Norman to be the best combo deck he can be, I think all these mediocre enablers need to go. So, get rid of that. And Wrath. I don't want to cut, but I probably should cut Frantic Search and Breakthrough. I am wondering also if I cut Burgie. Like, Harnfell is not great for my deck with how it works. Like, I'm going to be drawing a bunch of 2-drop artifacts that I now need to spend mana on, and that might be too much. Which does make me wonder if I want to get rid of Karkland Ironworks then. Because I don't have Yawgmoth's Will anymore to cast them all back from the graveyard. And I don't have Underworld Breach. Wonder if I want Underworld Breach as I'm getting rid of like all of this other stuff. Like I could potentially get rid of the Shreds of Sanity and the Mystic Retrieval and just run Breach at that point. If I ran Breach, I could ditch a bunch of other things. I'm now thinking it's like if I put Underworld Breach in, I kind of want Brain Freeze and like Lion's Eye Diamond in the deck. So hmm. So can I cut enough cards that Breach would actually be viable? Because if I add in Breach, I'm very tempted to add back in 2 cards that both work with it. Alright, let me think about this one a bit more before I commit to it. In the meantime, let's rip this band-aid off. Yeah, if I'm being honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more cards off the list. Alright, Firestorm is now gone. Frantic. Oops. Kind of doing these out of order. Okay. Get rid of Frantic. Get rid of Attunement. Oops. Yeah, actually just scroll up and grab Attunement because it's right there. Breakthrough. And the Here's Wrath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brings us down to 104. I mean, we're cutting things, and I do think they are things that need to be cut, but wow, am I sad to see those things go. Like, they are very strong in the deck, but they aren't what the deck needs in order to win, and it's a combo deck, and I'm out of room, so as powerful as they are, and as useful as they would be to have in the deck, they're not necessary. Like, I actually consider the things that are augmenting the effects of my cards, the things I put in the augment section, because if I play a 2 mana cantripping artifact from the graveyard, so it costs 0 mana, I get to draw a card, and that card is like a land or something, I'm not going to win because I drew a land, I need to keep drawing more things that I can discard and get discounted to draw more things to raise my spell count high enough that the storm cards actually win. So, in order to do that, we need the card draw spells to actually draw us more cards per spell than while still being actually free, just straight up 0 mana each time. So, and it also makes the ones that aren't cantripping artifacts, the mana rocks, into cantripping artifacts for some of them, so between the two, that should increase the card flow enough that I don't need Frantic Search and Breakthrough and Attunement. But it makes me sad to have to cut them just because of that. But I do think it's correct at this point. Also, I do think Karkland Ironworks goes. I'm not prepared to cut Phyrexian Altar yet because of all of the things that make creatures that we can use to combo kill, but the Karkland Ironworks is actually unnecessary. It's unnecessary if we're not going to do Underworld Breach. Are we going to do Underworld Breach? Because if I'm doing Underworld Breach, I need to cut a bunch of different cards instead to make room for Breach, and probably Brain Freeze and what's its name? Because Lion's Eye Diamond. Because once we do that, we have enough mana. Like, then we're actually treading on infinite combo territory. Because we can just hit ourselves with Brain Freeze to mill a massive portion of our deck. Which we don't get to cast for free off of that. But we do get to exile the cards from the graveyard in order to cast the other ones. I just have to be careful I don't deck out. Also, we might potentially be able to deck our opponents. If I'm going to do that, do I want Thassa's Oracle? Because I hate Thassa's Oracle. But I'm also not above... I hate Thassa's Oracle as, like, a backup oops I win thing. I don't mind it if it's going to be the primary win con, though. Because this would actually let us get rid of all of the haste and haste enablers, like, or all the haste and the creatures. Like, all of those can just go. That would free up a ton of deck space, but then we have to add in like 10 other cards to compensate. But it would get rid of like a whole host of cards off of the list. Let me see how many cards it would actually cut off of the list if we did this. Because if I want to leave Krokland Ironworks if I can sacrifice the artifacts and then recast them from the graveyard to draw more cards with Underworld Breach. So let me see what we would actually be able to cut from the deck if we just went Breach combo instead. Alright, so we get to lose Fervor. Go, Mind Over Matter stays, Scourge Familiar stays, Grim Monolith. Phyrexian Altar can go, because we would only have Zombie Infestation left. Good Imp, we would get to lose Anger. Rolls, Mass Hysteria can go. Ironwork stays. Grave Robber affected. Empty the Warrens can go because it's no longer how we would win. Like, it's no longer a storm card I can use to win the game, so. Smith stays. Burning Vengeance stays because I'm casting all these things from the graveyard, so it's killing the opponents anyway. We would not need Mystic Retrieval anymore. Probably cut Shreds of Sanity. Doxical stays. Pulse's Citadel, Guild Globe, Sleeper Dark, Conundrum, Spare Supplies all stay. Burgie's fine for right now. Mastery's fine. Fine. I don't know that we would need to cut Liar necessarily. Ominous Roost can go. Because Liar would still let me flash them back without having to exile cards. It would still work as a backup to some of these things. Let's leave Liar on the list for right now. Like, he might be able to go once we're fine-tuning this portion of the build. We could lose Bitter Reunion. Up to 9 now. File, Bitter Triumph, Bloodthorn Flail. Geralf can go. It's 10. Tavron could go, but it also doesn't super matter because it's a land. Leftstalker Ardent gets worse, but that might just mean it should be the 1/3 from Kaladesh then. Name I'm blanking on. Resistance could go. Lost in the Damned can go. So I'm only losing like 12 cards off of the list if I do this. And we would have to. So Underworld Breach is 1. Brain Freeze is 2. Lion's Eye Diamond 3. Thassa's Oracle 4. So we're only losing 8 cards to begin with. And there is some temptation with those 8 cards that there might need to be I don't know, like the Lab Maniac or something as a backup win con. Because I can definitely draw a card after emptying my deck. So if somebody were to stop Thassa's Oracle, the biggest problem might be that the Lab Maniac would be cast from the graveyard, triggering a whole bunch of things that would draw me a card and kill me before he can resolve and be in play to stop me from losing the game. But be gone. Don't want to buy your views. Yeah, so it's not actually saving me a ton of deck space to get rid of all the things that I have currently on the list for this. since I would have to replace them with a bunch of things anyway. Like, it might streamline the deck a little bit. Like, maybe at that point I can get rid of the Ardent, because the Thought Weft Ardent, because there's fewer creatures entering the battlefield, so he's less impressive. Give me like a 13th card to cut to make a little more wiggle room. Because, yeah, I do think I cut like these 13, but I'm adding like 6 cards, because I do think I would want Lab Maniac at that point over Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, because Lab Maniac's easier for me to cast if it's in the graveyard already before I get to the point where I'm decking out, so that way, you know, we need to kill Thassa's Oracle or we need to counter Thassa's Oracle's trigger and kill Lab Maniac in order for me to not win the game the turn that I go off. No, I'm just like really thinking about all of this and like flipping it over and over in my head, trying to figure out like where I want to go with this. So, sorry that I'm being quiet about it instead of thinking out loud, but I want to latch onto one idea or the other and then think about it out loud and see how it sounds. All right. So, since I'm being way too quiet, so the benefit of the Thassa's Oracle thing, as much as I hate Thassa's Oracle, is that it wins the game on the spot, and it's pretty consistent. It's very difficult to interact with Thassa's Oracle. If they can't counter Thassa's Oracle, then they have to be able to stifle the trigger. And right now we're set up in such a way that stifling the trigger would need something along the lines of what's its name? The thing from Amonkhet where you can cycle it's like a bird wizard and you can cycle it, and when you do, you can counter an activated or triggered ability. Because we need something like that, or one of the morph creatures that does that, in order to get around all of my can't cast spells effects like Teferi and Barracuda and Conqueror's Flail. We would lose out on all of the like the benefits of having the creatures, like having Phyrexian Altar to help us keep going off, because we're making so many creatures that we can now sacrifice all of them. Or not all of them, but like a lot of them, to keep doing things and keep making more of them in the process until it actually kills all of our opponents. But this way I'm not vulnerable to fog effects. The thing is, I might be able to get rid of the creatures anyway and just rely on the when I cast spells from anywhere other than hand deal damage effects, and then add in the storm cards so that we actually win the game. See, the problem is that I kind of want to get rid of some of the other things that let me cast spells from the graveyard and add in Underworld Breach, because it's cheap enough and enough of a combo card that it should be good enough. But if I have Underworld Breach, I want the option for Lion's Eye Diamond Brain Freeze. And if I have that combo, then I want Thassa's Oracle and possibly Lab Maniac. But it is possible that that's what I need instead of all of the creature token makers. Because it is cutting down on the total number of cards in the deck, and it's not stopping any of the other things I have as win cons from churning through the deck and winning the game anyway. And it might just let those cards win, and we never need to see Thassa's Oracle in play. It's just a thing that I could cast to win the game instead. I am worried, though, that I will just get to the point where I'm technically Thassa's Oracle, and that's it, but if I can win the game by slowly drawing all of the cards in my deck and dealing a ton of damage by casting all the spells, then it won't matter if I ever had access to Thassa's Oracle. And then if somebody can stop that from happening, if they can protect themselves from me winning the game that way, then we can Thoracle them real quick for the win. I do think we still keep Cavron Memorial World on the list for right now because of zombie infestation. Like, if we just happen to make enough zombies that we kill the opponents anyway for having that land in play, like 6 of them can station the planet and then the rest of them can attack now as 3/2s. Like, that's not unreasonable as an alternate win con. I don't think I bother with anger, though. Like, anything that's taking up actual deck space, like, cards, needs to go, even though anger is a very free roll way to let all the zombies attack. As would be Bitter Reunion. Just use it as a tormenting voice, and then later on, gives all the zombie tokens I made haste. I think it's a slightly better combo. I'm starting to talk myself into this, so. Alright. Actually going to do this. So Fervor, not Fervent Mastery. Fervor is 1. Altar is 2. Anger is 3. Mass Hysteria is 4. D is 5. Retrieval is 6. Reds is 7. Ominous is 8. Bidder is 9. Rolf is 10. There's 11. And 12. So I cut all of those off the list. That's gone. This is gone. I might be able to go still. Is one of the more expensive cards on the list. It also stops opponents from being able to counterspell my stuff when I'm going off, if that's what I'm worried about more than Norman getting killed. Alright, so we start by cutting those 12. So, down to 92. Then we have to add in so Raj, need Lion's Eye Diamond. That's 1. Thassa's Oracle and Underworld Breach are both from the same set, right? Oracle is originally from Theros Beyond Death, and Underworld Breach should also be. It's 2 blue for a 1/3, yeah. Merfolk Wizard. 3. Well, Breach is red and 1. One in the red. Enchantment. Three other cards. mostly putting the text because I want to make sure I remember how many cards it costs to escape. So don't play Vintage Cube very often, and feel like that is the spot where actually um see Underworld Breach the most. I also don't play any actual Legacy or Vintage anymore in paper. So, and when I do, I haven't really modified my Tesserator deck in like, you know, a decade now, decade and a half. I think legit the last time I put a card in it that wasn't, already in it was I took out certain cards and replaced them with. I took out like some of the lands and replaced them with the mana confluences from Journey into Nyx. It's the last time I actually changed anything in the deck, so that was just a lateral move away from City of Brass. Added Lion's Eye Diamond, we added Thassa's Oracle, got Underworld Breach. Need to go to Scourge and add Brain Freeze. Leave Brain Freeze as a sorcery. Oh, it is an instant. Huh. I genuinely had forgotten that. So I love how every single card I'm adding to the deck has been in the mystery booster as like a fancy version. Got my white border Brain Freeze here. Underworld Breach, Lion's Eye Diamond, Brain Freeze, Thassa's Oracle, and then possibly Lab Maniac. There it is. Original Lab Maniac was from regular Innistrad. Draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. Yeah, Innistrad. Two and a blue human wizard. You two. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So add these 5 in. These 5 indefinitely. Bring me back up to 97. So I have to come down here to my win con section and update with how I'm now winning the game. Weftstalker still triggers off of artifacts entering my primary thing. I don't know. Maybe we don't need Lab Maniac. Like, if Thassa's Oracle is going to be a backup win con to comboing off, where if we do come close to decking ourselves, we can just cast Thassa's Oracle. Or if we encounter it, we can cast it. Because I'm not putting in, like, Demonic Consultation or anything to exile our deck to have the Thassa win through that. It's more along the lines of I'm going to be putting my entire deck somewhere other than where it starts off. Like every card in the deck is going to another zone at some point in time, so maybe just, you know, Thassa's Oracle case. Yeah, you know what? Let's actually cut Lab Maniac. Change my mind. If I need another win con, I will put in something else that wins from casting all the spells rather than Lab Man here. Hey, and that puts us at the hour mark. So, whole lot of changes. And we added in another like $500 card or whatever Lion's Eye Diamond is, so so there's that. But then again, this deck was already flirting with a whole lot of insanely expensive cards, so but yeah, I actually prefer this. It leaves us less vulnerable to certain cards while still still losing to the same things we were going to anyway that could disrupt our other combos. You know, now we don't have to worry about random fog effects, like whatever the one is from Ikoria Commander. But yeah, I think we call it there for right now. So I'll be back on later, drafting some Omen Path Spider-Man set, and we'll see if I can find anything else to do tonight. But yeah, it's gonna do it for me for right now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good rest of your day.